Okay, so talking about that grid line spacing that I just mentioned, we're going to, as you can see in the on the screen, 8 inches in from each corner of the building is going to be the center of the grid line. So you can see this in this example here. You can see that my grid lines were at 8 foot 8 inches or 20 foot 8 inches on center, and then it was 8 inches over to the corner. We have to keep the outside of our building modular, right? So that everything works out on an 8-inch increment. And then we have to be concerned about window and door placement, also being on that 8-inch increment. So in this case here, let's just take a look at this corner right here, and I have a window. So if you want to match up as much as you can modularly, your windows should be modular sized. So in this case, I have a 4-foot window. That works out modular, right? So it's a 4-foot window outside of frame to outside of frame, so it fits in a modular opening. And then it's 5'4" plus 8 inches from the outside corner to the edge of the window. So that's 6 foot, right? 5'4" plus 8, 6 foot works out on an 8-inch increment. The distance between this window and this window is, in this case, the wall was located at 11 foot 8 from the grid line to the wall. So the window is 2 foot 2 to the wall and 1 foot 10 to the next window. So adding those two together is 4 foot again. So that's modular. So you got to keep going modular all the way down the line. So everything works out in this case. They can lay up blocks, put a window in, lay up blocks, put a window in, and so forth, and they'll always be on that 8-inch increment. There are going to be cases where it won't work. An example might be if you had, in this case I don't have any of those situations, but if you had a double door, pair of 3/0 doors, that's 6 foot. That's modular, right? But you have a 2-inch jamb on each side. So the opening for that 6-foot door is 6'4". That's no longer modular. So there are cases like that where you would have to cut some blocks on one side of that door, right? Okay, so there are going to be cases if you did that. A better option might be to put in a single door with 2 side lights, and then you can make those side lights whatever you need to make it a modular opening. How about a 3-foot door? Is that modular? Well, 3 foot is not modular, right? Put a 2-inch jamb on each side, now it's 3'4". Is that modular? Yes, that's 40 inches, right? So a 3-foot door with its jamb does fit in a modular opening. Let's talk about height, because it has to be modular in height too, right? 6'8" door, modular. 6-foot door plus a 2-inch jamb on top, no longer modular. And we're talking about hollow metal frames here probably, or aluminum frames. In hollow metal frames, similar to what we have exiting the back of the building here, a hollow metal door frame, it's actually the door we have, door and frame we have right here in coming into the classroom is a hollow metal frame. And it gets painted, and you can have steel doors or wood doors in it, whatever. They do make hollow metal frames that have a 4-inch head jamb on it. Okay, so you have a 6'8" door plus a 4-inch head jamb, and now all of a sudden that door does go out to be modular. Okay, so we can do that, and we can, in Revit, you can make those jambs whatever size you need them to be. But we have to think modular both horizontally and vertically. Another thing you can do with door frames is, like we have in the classroom here, put a transom above the door, and then all of a sudden you can play with that transom height to make it modular as well. Or we can go to 7-foot doors and put a head jamb on it. So always be thinking modular with a masonry building. You want to try to eliminate as many cutting of block as you can, but keeping in mind that if you run into a situation like that double 6-foot door, if you can't, you will have to cut some block. But try to keep as many things modular as you can. Dimensioning is going to be like we've done in the past, dimension to the nearest grid line if possible. and dimension between walls for doors and windows, and between grid lines for walls then. Okay, so nothing uncommon there. Some of you have chosen to do a U-shaped building. Dimensioning gets a little bit complicated inside of that U. So we might have to solve that. Whatever method you can come up with to solve that, it can get a little cluttered. And you might have to do a call out of a certain area that on the call out you dimension windows or something, and you don't have it dimensioned on your main floor plan. And you refer to the call out for the dimensioning of window locations on that wall. Okay. Okay, so I guess that's about as much as I wanted to say about this right now. We'll, at some point, once you've got your floor plan kind of laid out, we will put in the columns and the beams and the bar joists and things like that onto a structural layout, and we'll be talking about that a little later. That is, I think you'll find that a very interesting process. So we'll actually get a three-dimensional skeletal framework of this building shown in structural layout. Okay?